tips for beginner leather crafters. Like we can, yeah. What would you?
It's yeah. Um, I know there's so much information. I try to boil it down, to just a perfect statement. Just a perfect statement that'll bring, somebody in and have a great time. I would, okay, a couple points. First off, don't buy the most expensive piece of leather when you're starting out. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a big reason behind this.
Yeah.
We sell what's called a belly. And if you want to go in veg, go in the direction of veg tan, a belly is cut off of the main side because when they do that, the main side becomes very usable to belt makers. They don't have a lot of waste. Anyway, the belly is the same tannage, but it's here in the US, it's if you drive a truck, it's about half the cost of a tank of gas. Um, the point there is that dive in. Don't freak out over, oh, I'm going to waste this piece of leather and there goes $20. You know, dive in. That's the one thing I think at the top is you dive in, start cutting away, and make something cool. And if it isn't perfect, try it again.
Mm-hmm.
But also too, here's another point. When you make something and you're typically, like we talked about, you're typically happy with it, but in the back of your mind, maybe think, I'm going to make another one of these, but I'm going to take what I learned here and the next one is going to be a step up or maybe a little different direction in decoration but just, yeah, kind of keep in the back of your mind, let's make another step and then another step after that. And a lot too, I think a good point, and man, I'm rolling on this one, but this is a good point. Um, Look for something that you want. Like the briefcase. I'd love to have a leather briefcase. I'm not going to spend $1,000. You know, I can learn how to make that out of leather, and you will make a great briefcase. So,
Mm-hmm.
some motivation there. Kind of look around. What would you like? What do you want to own, or what do you want to buy? But maybe it's too expensive. That was what happened with me at the Ren Fair. I couldn't afford any of that beautiful leather, so I had to make my own. But
Mm-hmm.
that motivated me to get into it, and man, I haven't stopped since.
Yeah. Yeah, with the don't buy expensive pieces of leather straight up because leather can be very expensive, and that's where the scrap leather is so helpful.
Oh man,
You can
yeah.
buy bags of scrap, and it's mainly in those initial stages where you're just learning to refine your skills. Like you just want to make sure your burnishing's right, your cutting, your beveling. It's just getting those essential little skills because once you're just working with leather. As long as you get those essential skills right, it just looks beautiful. Like if you get your stitching right, it's just yeah.
You're exactly right. And every little element is so easy to learn, like
Mm,
learning how to bevel.
yeah.
I mean, you can learn a beveler or an edger in like 2 inches, and
Mm,
a groover you learn that in 2 inches, and a chisel, and then you use those on every project. You
yeah.
know, so you're exactly right. It's a lot of very easy tricks to learn or techniques to learn, but then you use them on everything you do.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Another thing as well is oh my mind just went completely blank.
Oh, good. I don't feel
Oh.
bad.
um.
It's been happening a lot lately to me.
Yeah. It's like when you have it when you have it, it's right there, but then when you go to pull it out, it just vanishes.
Did that so much. I keep worrying that that's my age. My age is showing, but yeah, I don't think so.
Uh, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. How you pointed out with when you make a product, focus on like trying to improve it a little bit, like the next time.
Yeah.
That rings so true. I kept all my minimalist wallets that I first one to my what I design now, and I remember when I was making them, the it was always like I got to focus on this the next wallet. If the edges weren't
Cool.
right, got to focus on this. If the stitch, then I'll make that wallet. The stitching might not be right. Okay, next one, focus on getting the stitching right, and you sort of it's
It
almost like
comes
you're just
together.
trying to that game. Do you know where you have the hammer and like the little weasel pops up and you like smack it and like another one like pops up. It's sort of
Whack a
it's like
mole.
yeah, it's kind
Yeah.
of like that. But yeah,
But here, when you
it's
whack them once, they stay down.
yeah. But then like another one pops up, and it's just
That's yeah. It's you're so right. You just and that's excellent. That's what I hope everybody would do. Is on this one, let's think on the next one. We're going to clean it up a little bit, and before you know it, you are making top-notch professional products.
yeah. And probably in regards to tools for beginners, what would you like if
I would
they're just seed led the craft and all these different tools? How would you
yes.
try and narrow it down so it's not as overwhelming?
It isn't, and it shouldn't be. In fact, if you're watching the videos, you can see my tool board behind me. You need about 5 tools off of that board. Everything
Yeah.
else on that board is fluff. But 2 points. All right, sales pitch. First off, we've got a starter kit, and the reason I mention that, well, sales pitch, but I helped put that together because I've seen so many beginner, beginner kits that are so full of stuff you'll never use.
Yeah.
I don't want to make coasters. Now, one is fun here and there, but I'm not
Yeah.
looking to make coasters or key
Yeah.
fobs. I want to make holsters or belts or purse or bag. So our kit has no fluff. Everything in that is stuff you're going to use right off the bat. Like I said, our sewing. If you want to sew, well, job specific. We need a pony. We need some needles. We need our chisels and some thread. To do our edge work, we need a groover, a bevel, and a slicker. So our starter kit is perfect. Now, okay, stepping away from that because budget, we're crafters. We don't look at a hide of leather and immediately calculate how much profit we're going to make on the products that we make from that hide. That's not our thing. We're looking for the fun side of it. So, like we talked about, the first level is to find. Now, these are probably items you would have in your house: a box knife, a square, and a piece of plywood, something to cut on. Okay. Now, what you need to buy your quartz or marble, and you need to buy a revolving punch, and you need to buy a little pack. We sell a little pack. It's 100 rivets and a setter, and it's very inexpensive. Well, now with what you've got there, you literally are making simple to complex projects. And now you're rolling. From this point, it's like we talked about, now you go job specific. If you want to sew, here's a certain set of tools. If you want to set snaps, right there, we've got a little packet that's got snaps in it. It's got your setter, your anvil, and your snaps. You're immediately setting snaps.
Yeah.
So from there, you kind of pick your direction. What do we need? 3 or 4 items. I might say get a mallet because I used a metal mallet, a metal hammer when I started out, and I used it for years. My little setter's a mushroom. That's like a 4-inch setter's now 2 inches with a mushroom cap. You can, but I would say get a poly mallet or a rawhide mallet. But also too, this is good to interject here. Your quartz, your mallets, your revolving punch, your chisels, you're going to use these for 30 years.
Yeah.
So you're putting the money in the right place so that down the road you can spend the money on leather and not have to rebuy tools or cheap tools. So that's kind of the point.
And then this goes back again, like even like your mallets, your box cutters, your mats, all those can be found, at home. So that just eliminates 3 products that you need to buy. And also, I like what you said as well, because with those little starter kits you can get, that's when you start off with your basic stitching. I mean, your stitching chisels and that sort of stuff. But then once you've developed those skills, then you can move on to be, okay, do I want the thread thinner? Like, do I want the thread thinner? Do I want the stitch holes closer, further away from each other? That's where you can sort of expand.
Make it your own.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
So you just got to get into the trenches and do that first painful developing those skills, and then you can that's where you just expand.